Hey there, Mr. Reddit here. Welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parent Stories. Today we have a very special episode for you, a compilation of some of the greatest entitled parent stories we read over the past year. So sit back, relax, and enjoy a few hours of the most entitled parents you've ever heard of. And by the way, Karen assured me that if this video gets 1,000 likes, she won't try to speak to anyone's manager for an entire week. So please smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. And become an official member of the Re-Army today, and I'll give you a shout out in an upcoming video. r/Entitled Parents. Entitled Mom accuses me of stealing my phone, thinking that it's an iPhone X. I'm on mobile, and English isn't my first language, so sorry if my grammars aren't correct. Lol. So, let's give some context about my phone. My phone is a Nova 3i. Now, the reason why the entitled mom thinks that it's an iPhone X is because it looks like it. Search it on Google. In the back, there's no logo in the middle, but a fingerprint button. This is important later. Our cast. We've got me, Gavriel. We've got entitled mother, and we've got the police officer. Now, on to the story. So I live in a village close to the entrance and exit of a convenience store called Alpha Mart. So I went there to buy some chips and drinks and then eat it, because why not? I sat down at a table and put my phone on the table while I opened my bag of chips. I know, that's stupid. Then I see a woman approaching me, seeing that I left my phone on the table, not guarding it or staring at it. So when I see the woman now in front of me, I then said, "Is there a problem, miss?" She then snatched the phone from the table and ran to an exit. When she's now in the door, a police officer came in. What a timing, I know. Then entitled mom shouted, "Help, officer! There's a boy trying to steal my iPhone." Yes, she said that I stole an iPhone. Police officer says, "Is this true?" "No, officer. This woman tried to get away with my—"
"No, that's not true, officer. I want him arrested now."
"Do you have proof that it's yours?" The entitled mom was frozen, that she had no proof that it was hers, and I was smiling when he said that. The officer then asked if he could see the phone.
"Yes, of course."
The officer then looks at the back of the phone, sees that there's no Apple logo. "Ma'am, are you sure this is your phone?"
"Yes."
"Are you sure this is an iPhone?"
"Yes."
"Ma'am," he shows her the back of the phone. "There's no Apple, but a fingerprint button." Entitled mom was shocked, and I just smiled at her. Then the officer asked if I have proof. I grabbed my phone, then put my finger in the fingerprint button, and it opened to the home screen, showing a wallpaper of Pikachu wearing a t-shirt saying Absolute Unit. I like memes. Entitled mom, like other entitled moms, tries to run away, but karma hits her outside. She's looking back at us, not looking where she's going. She falls and trips, face palms in the stone floor. Ouch. I was trying to hold back from laughing. Then the officer handcuffs her, and he called back up and asked me if I wanted to press charges. I said no, because I don't want to, because I'm lazy. Plus, she had been punished enough. I don't know what happened to that woman, and I hope I never encounter an entitled parent again. Thanks for reading. Sorry I didn't press charges. Next we've got, my stepdad wakes me up at 2 a.m. for cereal and water because he can. In advance, I apologize for any grammar errors. I'm on mobile. You have my full permission to use this story. Too long, didn't read at the end, blah 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 blah. Let's get this going. For a bit of a background, I've been doing this for a long time, waking up before the sun, and still never got used to it. Especially since last year, I had to always wake up at about 12 a.m. for diaper changing. I would get up to take care of my entitled grandma, I would also feed her before leaving for school. I'm in my second year of college now and nearly failed the first semester because of my nightmare of a grandma who always wanted water and prune juice, as well as cranberry juice, ice cream, donuts, and raisins. She had diabetes, so this was a no-no with the doctors, but Dad spoiled the woman who could do no wrong instead of spoiling my mother, who shared the work with me, taking care of entitled Dad and entitled Grandma. I'm a shy and small-voiced 19-year-old girl, so I hated conflict and just did as I was told to. I mean told since childhood. I was just doing well in school again. This is when he started to call me more often than earlier in the morning when Mom couldn't see what he was doing. I did this all from 2017 to 2019 when my grandma finally passed away. This may sound bad, but I was glad to see my stepdad cry about something that wasn't himself or food, and I won't have to get up in the morning as often. It's the last night of our vacation in Florida, and I had a blast the night before with my aunt, uncle, and their usually rowdy kids, 2 boys, at Universal on Friday. It's now Saturday. After they leave, everything is quiet, and since I'm a glutton for praise, I pack my bag early and only take out things I'll need on the 12-hour trip back home. I then noticed my work app saying I had to be in work at 1:30 to 6:30 on Monday. Not much, right? Wrong. I accepted it, knowing full well my mom told me I had to get foot surgery for reasons I don't feel comfortable sharing. Nothing gross, just had to have something removed for me to walk better than I was. At about 2 a.m., I am awoken by an alarm that woke me up with a jerk. Phone tracker used for Apple phones. It was my dad using the most annoying thing I hated most, that darn alarm. I turned it off and my phone started to vibrate, so I had to answer. The alarm being cut off made him know if I could cut it off or just ignored him. The conversation went as follows. The cast. We've got me, wild Pokemon girl. We've got entitled Dad, threat to humanity. And we've got Mom, calm person that didn't do anything as she was sick. I walked down the stairs into entitled Dad and Mom's room. Entitled Dad says,
Do we have cereal and milk?
I'm shocked, as this is what I woke up to, and looked at my mom. She looks at me to calm down, smiled sweetly. I'm grumpy that I had to get up to feed this jerk. You do know you have 2 other kids, right? Note, my younger bro and sis were on vacation with us. My sister on her tablet, 15, and my brother on his game, he's 17.
If you tell me I have other kids again, you won't like what happens.
I shut up and stared daggers, not that he could notice.
Now, do we have any milk and cereal?
Now I'm complying because I felt threatened. I gave a small yes.
Get me some cereal and milk. I also want some crushed ice and water.
I complied and got him his things. The cereal didn't take long. The crushed ice took about 3 minutes extra, since it didn't have that much ice to begin with. Entitled Dad is now acting nice to get on my good side again.
Thank you, and close my door behind you.
I went upstairs, climbed into bed, and started writing this story. Edit. Sorry it was short. I am tired and should really be getting to sleep, but I needed to vent before I started to cry. And I learned I will never be like him because he is only the stepfather that treats me like a slave because he doesn't know I know that he's trying to keep this a secret from me. And because I believe in equality among what I do in my family, my little bro and sis are gonna have to watch out when I expose my dad that he's my stepdad. They should know now, then hate me later for keeping this secret from them. And our final story of the day.
We're not American, so you shouldn't celebrate your freedom.
This is one of the more unusual encounters I've experienced. I've been trying to save up more stories for later to make another storybook, but this one was too weird to be clumped together. The entitled cast is what you can figure out, but there are a little more. We've got my best friend, we've got best friend's girlfriend, and we've got best friend's dad. 4th of July, a patriotic homage to the country our ancestors worked hard to acquire from the British, only to have it ruined within years of our own people. A day where drinking beer, swimming, and dangerous things are always allowed. And this was not how I expected my holiday to end up. To have this story make more sense, the neighbors I'm talking about are British, so that should explain some things. It's around 7:30 p.m. when we start the real party. My family and friends' family all collab on this amazing day. We invited all our neighbors in the cul-de-sac and some more, so the party was really kicking up. Most of them came out to party, but one family, who were our next-door neighbors, didn't like it. They had moved in less than a month ago, so we didn't know them that well, but we were going to try to hang out with them at this party. They declined after we asked them 2 weeks before, and nothing ever came of it. During the whole day, they were flying a Union Jack instead, which is fine because they're not American. Anyways, at this time, we started getting the fireworks ready. Someone from the party bought at least $500 worth of fireworks, and they had loud ones. One of the first things we lit were 2 boxes of Saturn rockets. Needless to say, it was loud. So loud, in fact, that our European neighbor finally came out to join the party, but not in a way you'd want. Quick note, I added some extra British slang.
What the absolute bollocks is going on here? Who is in charge?
Nobody really knew who this guy was, so they directed him to where me, friend, and his dad were at. At first, we didn't know who it was, but we guessed who by the angry expression.
Well, howdy there, neighbor. I was hoping you'd show up.
So up, I'm here to put an end to your kerfling. You all Mickey. Shut it down, now!
Whoa, chill out, neighbor. It's just some light fireworks. This happens every year.
Every year you disrupt your neighbors who are trying to get some sleep? I want this all to stop now. Throw your party another time.
Well, it's not exactly a party. It's the 4th of July. I know you're from Europe, but in America...
I know about your argy-bargy history. You celebrate how you're better than our country by doing crazy things like this.
If you don't like it, then buzz off. It's our party, and half the neighborhood is here. We're not gonna stop unless we absolutely have to.
The entitled dad merely scoffed and stormed back to his house. We made nothing of it and continued with some mortars and sparklers all around. Not even 30 minutes have passed before 2 cop cars came rolling down the street, and they have their lights on and sirens blaring. Friend's dad said that the entitled dad must have called the cops, so he went to go deal with it.
Hello, officer. Is this about the fireworks? Yes and no. You do need to put the fireworks away, but we also got a complaint that someone at this party was harassing one of your neighbors.
That would be me.
Entitled dad comes running through us, but he looked very different this time. His face was darker, but with limited light, it was hard to see what it was.
This young man right here.
He points to my friend.
I asked him who was in charge, and he beat me up. Oh, the pain. I'm bruised up all over.
Officer 2 says, "Calm down. We'll get an ambulance to check you out." And my friend says, "Wait a minute. I didn't hit this guy. He came over to talk to us 3 and start screaming at us because we had lit fireworks and our party was against his nation and stuff like that." Officer 1 says,
Does anyone here have anything else to say?
Me and friend's dad both said the same story to the officer, while entitled dad was ranting on and on about the party and how we were terrible to him. Then we all come back together and the officers speak up. Officer 2. "All right, so based on what we heard, you," he points to entitled dad, "are either faking your bruises or did something else. We're going to check that out later. As for this party, just keep the noise down and put the fireworks away. We don't want to come back and have to break this party up."
Yes, sir. We went ahead and had someone put them away, so there shouldn't be any more fireworks.
The entitled dad tried to make up more excuses, but the police weren't having it. They shined a flashlight on his bruises and didn't even have to poke it or anything to tell it was makeup. They wrote him a ticket, and just as they were about to leave, we hear a loud boom. The entitled dad's yard was on fire, and their tree went up like a match. Almost immediately, neighbors on both sides ran over, started grabbing their water hose to douse the fire and put out as much as they can. One officer radioed in a fire truck, and the other went through the party to examine the damage with entitled dad.
What did you wickets do? I told you they were bloody reckless. They went and set my bloody house on fire.
Some little kid, maybe 9 or 10, ran out of the crowd and went to entitled dad. His hands were bleeding, so friend's dad ran over to his house nearby to grab a first aid kit. The other officer saw what was happening and used his radio to call for an ambulance, while friend's dad ran over with the kit. Both him and the officer checked out his injuries, and it turned out that both of his hands had been hurt and one of his fingers had a cut on it. At that point, the music had stopped, and everyone was trying to figure out what was happening while the yard was being put out. The ambulance and fire truck show up not too long afterwards, and we all start taking statements. As it turns out, the little kid was entitled dad's, and the firework that lit the tree on fire had belonged to the entitled dad as well. Entitled dad was charged with negligence, false police report, disrupting the peace, and I think a count of arson. After everything was finally done, at like 11 p.m., we called it a night and packed up. Entitled dad's wife went to the hospital with their son to make sure everything was fine, while entitled dad himself was put in the back of the police car as they drove off. This morning, as we go outside to clean up the rest of the garbage, we can actually see the yard. All their grass was black and brown, which means they didn't water it, and the tree was solid black with no green or brown anywhere. The actual house itself seemed to be okay, apart from some fire singes on the roof where the tree hung over. Moral of the story: if you give a kid a firework, expect him to ruin a massive party. How to train entitled parent and kid. Hey, Mr. Reddit. This is my first time posting, and English isn't my mother language, so sorry in advance if my writing sucks. I translate the conversations from Hungarian. It happened a few months ago. My company sent me on a business trip to Vienna. I decided to take the train because I wouldn't like to drive about 7 hours alone with my car, and flight wasn't an option, and I was happy to relax for 7 hours and could watch some stuff that I couldn't when my 4 daughters are around. I guess you know what Entitled Mom, Entitled Kid, and Me stands for. Entitled Mom, a fairly attractive woman in her late 20s with long blonde hair, and a 6-year-old boy, Entitled Kid. They sat behind me. No one sat next to me. The first hour was uneventful. I started to watch the new show at the time, Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix on my phone. After an hour, I heard the kid complaining to his mother, but I didn't care because I was wearing earbuds. A bit later, I felt a tap on my shoulder, and I pulled out my headphones and turned.
Sorry, my son's phone's battery just died. Would you mind letting my son watch what you are watching?
Sorry, what I watch is not for kids. Maybe after I finish. Entitled Kid says loudly.
I want to watch, now!
I took a power bank out of my bag and handed it to them. I came prepared. I packed enough power banks for an apocalypse, enough to run my personal and work phone and my laptop on heavy duty more than 24 hours. So I didn't expect what happened later. I have a bad habit of waiting on the last minute before I go to the toilet, and when a guy finally came out of the toilet, I took a run for it. I left everything there, even my phone still running a show that kid shouldn't have seen. Big mistake. I asked Entitled Mom to look after my stuff. I mean, the toilet was maximum 15 meters away from my seat. When I came back about a minute later, Entitled Kid was standing next to my seat watching my phone. I was furious, and I'm a big guy. 185 centimeters, 105 kilograms. I have quite a deep voice, and I could look really intimidating. Me almost shouting,
What the heck?
Entitled Kid froze in place, and everybody in their carts looking at me. I took my phone away from Entitled Kid.
Don't shout at my child.
Why did you let him do it?
He's just curious.
Oh, really? So, you would be cool if my daughters took a look in your purse?
That would be inappropriate.
I'm almost shouting really close to her face.
Like this is?
Then I felt kicking and hitting on my leg.
Don't shout at Mommy.
That put a smile on my face. I squatted to eye level with the kid. I said in a much calmer voice, So, you want to defend your mommy?
Yes.
Good boy. I won't raise my voice at your mommy again. The kid looked really proud. Do you still want to watch something?
Yes.
Here's the deal. If you don't move or make any sound while I talk with your mother, we could watch something. Deal?
Deal.
Entitled Mom looks confused.
What do you want to do with my son?
Watch something and teach him about the boundaries of civilized behavior. What you would have to teach him. Entitled Mom didn't like this and wanted to argue with me. But when I told her I am son of a quite famous child therapist, husband of a physiologist, and father of 4, she eventually sat down. It turns out the kid wasn't that bad, just spoiled. An entitled mom couldn't deal with entitled kids' tantrums, so she did what many parents do nowadays and gave in. If entitled kid wanted something, she gave it to him, so the kid only needed some discipline. Entitled kid is a smart kid, so he understood why he shouldn't touch other people's stuff. For my surprise, his English was pretty good, and he asked a lot of questions, mostly about technology and history, and he was really happy that I could mostly answer them. Later, I sat back with Entitled Mom and let Entitled Kid play on my phone. It turns out Entitled Mom is a really insecure and kind of dumb person who hides that with arrogance. She was really jealous that I could deal with Entitled Kid and felt horrible because she couldn't. It turns out the problem started about a year ago when Entitled Kid's father went to Vienna to work, and Entitled Kid's behavior really turned bad when Entitled Kid's grandfather died, so there were no male role models around. They live with Entitled Kid's grandmother, who also couldn't discipline him. So Entitled Kid gets much love from his mother and grandmother, but nobody really disciplines him. So I did something that I rarely do. I called my mother to ask a favor. I mentioned she's quite a famous child therapist. Normally you have to wait months to have a session with her, so asked her to have an extra session with them outside of her working hours. My mom wasn't happy, but she said okay. Entitled Mom was really happy because of that and hugged me. The rest of the trip was fine. A week later, my mother called me to tell me what happened. It turned out they lived the next village to my parents, about a 20-minute walk away. Because it was a Sunday, she didn't sit them down in her office. Instead, they went in the kitchen where my mother was cooking dinner while talking to them. About 20 minutes in the session, Entitled Kid asked, "Where's the toilet?" My mother tells him. About 10 minutes after this, they started to call Entitled Kid, so they start looking for him. It turned out, when Entitled Kid went to the bathroom, he saw from the window as my father and my younger brother were working on something in my father's workshop. He ran out the back door to see what they were doing. They didn't mind, so they started to show the stuff to Entitled Kid and answering his questions. My mother saw that Entitled Kid was having a good time, so they let him stay and help my father and brother. The next week, my mother and Entitled Mom agreed on the following. They would come on Sunday mornings for 2 hours. Entitled Mom helps my mother with housework. This worth more to her than what she would pay for a 2-hour session. While my mother explains parenting for her and answers Entitled Mom's questions, and my father plays with Entitled Kid for 2 hours, which my father really enjoys because he doesn't see his grandchildren every week, and while he loves his granddaughters, he would like to have at least one grandson as well. So, Entitled Son became some kind of step-grandson for him. Next we've got my Entitled Ex Godmother. So, A few years ago, I used to have a godmother who was one of my mom's friends. Now, a little background on my godmother was that she used to be a police officer, but she got fired because she was abusing her power, thinking that since she was a police officer, she could do whatever she wanted. The last time I heard from her, she was living at home with her dad, her sister, and 2 kids. They'll be important to the story later on, so grab a snack and take a seat because this is going to be a long one. We've got godmother, entitled parent, entitled parent's daughter. We've got entitled kid, entitled parent's son. And we've got kid. The son wasn't that bad. Again, this was a few years ago, so I probably won't remember all the details. So my family likes to travel on vacation because my mom has received a lot of timeshares over the years, so we usually like to go to hotels and resorts. One summer, when I was about 14 to 15, my dad decided not to go on vacation with us, so my mom decided to call entitled parent and ask if she and her kids wanted to go on vacation with us because entitled parent didn't have a lot of money. Entitled parent obviously accepted. So the day we're leaving for our trip, my dad is helping my mom get our bags into the car. Now, when my family and I go on vacation, we try to pack light. My mom will put mine and my brother's stuff in one big suitcase and put her stuff in her own suitcase while we each have one other bag. So between me, my brother, and my mom, that's about 4 or 5 bags. Entitled parent pulls up in her car with her kids and has at least 3 bags for each of them. 9 bags in total, including a portable TV that you can put in your car. Remember this. My parents were surprised, but nonetheless, they started loading the bags in the truck. After getting all the bags and kids in the car, we say goodbye to my dad and we're off. Now, entitled parent has an 8-year-old son and a 6-year-old girl. An entitled kid starts kicking my brother's seat. My brother gets annoyed and tells her to stop, by which entitled parent yells at my brother, telling him not to yell at her daughter. My mom then tells entitled parent not to yell at him because she should be parenting her daughter, and then after a while, they go silent. So we're already off to a great start. After about an hour or 2, we stop at a gas station to use the bathroom, get gas, etc. For my family, we try to get in and out no more than 5 to 10 minutes. Entitled parent and her kids take 15 minutes to use the bathroom and get slushies at every stop. It doesn't matter if they didn't finish the slushies they got before, because entitled parent will get them new ones. Also, we later find out that entitled parent didn't even pay for the slushies. We stopped at about 4 different gas stations, which meant we were on the road almost an hour longer than expected. A few hours after that, before we get to the resort, my mom stopped at a store where they were selling almost everything. It wasn't Walmart or Target, I can't remember the name. And so my mom got my brother and I some books and comics. When we get back to the car, I've finished reading a comic I've gotten, and I ask Kid if he wants to read it. Entitled parent then yells at me, saying that her son can't read it or else he'll get carsick, which was a lie because he was currently reading a book entitled parent had got him. We finally got to the resort and checked into our room. The condo we got had 2 bedrooms, a king-size bed in one and 2 queens in the other. My mom had let entitled parent and her kids get the room with the king-sized bed while we had the room with the double beds. As my brother and I were helping them bring stuff in, the kids were running in and out of the room. Suddenly, Kid runs up to me and gloats about how they got the better room. I brush it off because I was busy bringing in luggage. Over the course of the trip, entitled parent does different things to try and get free stuff over the trip. One day, entitled parent and her kids come back from a boat tour, and the kids were saying how fun it was, while entitled parent was on the phone with the manager saying how awful the tour was, and then trying to get another tour for free. Another day, we go to dinner and a show at this live pirate show. At this time, I had braces, and our waiter was serving us corn on the cob, but I refused because I had braces. The waiter came back later with corn cut off the cob, even though I didn't ask for it. Now the waiters at this place mainly got paid in tips, So my mom left $10 for each of us, while entitled parent left $5 for all three of them. Now, the real reason why we cut contact with her is about to come up. So one day, me, my brother, and my mom all go to the pool for a few hours. We come back and see that mine and my brother's chargers have been yanked out of the wall and almost broke, and my mom's expensive face cream is almost empty, even though she bought a brand new one the day before we left. Entitled parent and our kids were the only ones in the room before we left, so my mom went to question entitled parent. Entitled parent tried to say that some repair guys came in and used it, which is definitely not true, because my mom had jewelry and money sitting on the dresser, and I don't know why some repairmen would want my mom's face cream, so we didn't believe her. Then my mom asked entitled kid if she got into it, and entitled kid said yes. But as soon as entitled parent said she didn't do it, entitled kid said she didn't do it, and that's when the fight happened. I don't remember what they said, but I remember entitled parent accusing my 14 to 15-year-old brother of being up to no good because he apparently snuck into their room. What really happened was my brother was tired of entitled kid messing with us, so he wanted to scare her. So he snuck into their room and hid in the closet until entitled kid came in. My brother didn't know she was changing until he jumped out and scared her. My mom started yelling at entitled parent and saying entitled kid shouldn't have been walking around without a shirt, and how entitled parent should teach her daughter to be more ladylike. At one point, I remember jumping in and saying that it wasn't nice that entitled parent didn't tip my very thoughtful waiter. I was really shy back then, so this was a big step for me. Entitled parent started yelling at me, saying that the grown-ups were talking and that I shouldn't talk to her like that. A couple more minutes of arguing later, entitled parent decided to take her kids and go down to the pool to cool off. After they left, my mom decided that she has had enough and told us to come help her pack entitled parent's bags. It took us over an hour to pack, and not only did they have almost 3 weeks worth of clothes with them, they also brought a Wii and didn't tell us. After we packed their bags, we took them out to the car, and my mom told us if entitled parent tried to come in, don't open the door. So my mom left, and later, after she came back, she told us that she went to the front desk, dropped off the bags, asked to have entitled parent taken out of our room, and got new key cards, so entitled parent's card wouldn't work if she tried to come back. We later found out that entitled parent tried to get a different condo, but couldn't because the card attached to the condo was under my mom's name, so entitled parent had to pay for a small one-bedroom condo for herself and her kids. The rest of the trip went a lot smoother. We only saw entitled parent and her kids once at the pool, but they were either ignoring us or didn't see us. So our trip finally ends and we head home and find out that entitled parent had to get a rental car to get home because we were not giving her a ride back. And so we head home and think this whole disaster of a trip is finally over. Until we get a call saying that we had apparently stolen entitled parent's cords to her car's TV that she bought. Long story short, my mom managed to tell the police that we didn't steal it and told entitled parent to never contact us or come near our house again. I haven't heard from her since, but we love telling this story to friends.
But my entitled brat deserves your store's Legos at a cheaper price. It's for Christmas.
So, for some context, I worked for a retail store as a seasonal employee a couple years back. For legal purposes, we'll call them Toys for Everyone. While I was working there, a lot went on during the holiday season. This story happened on one of our busiest days while I was there. I had to leave before my employer had the chance to let me go due to personal reasons. English is my first language, I just haven't had to use it this much since college. Cast. We've got entitled mom, Karen 1. We've got entitled friend, who's entitled mom's friend, Karen 2. We've got entitled brat, entitled grandma, and me, OP. We've got the manager, just doing their job, even though she was stressed. We've got cool coworker 1 and cool coworker 2. So, for more information about my time there, as it is relevant to the story, Part of my job was tidying up the section I was in and making the displays look nice every so often when I wasn't helping customers. Manager had been stressing all week. I didn't know the exact details. I'm pretty sure she didn't like me, but I didn't want to cause her any problems more than I had already at this point, so I never said anything about it to anyone outside of Cool Coworker 1 and Cool Coworker 2. For more context, when I worked, I was usually in the girls section during the last of the daytime shifts before we switched to nighttime crew. So I clocked in like normal and checked the board to see which section I was in. I was in Legos and some of the other toys closer to the front on the boys section that day. This was fine as it helped me get more acquainted with the store layout so I could accurately answer a customer's question. About 2 hours into my shift, after Cool Coworker 1 had been told to go back to the girls section while I was tidying up the Legos part of my section, in and straight over to me walked the entitled group.
Mommy, look. This one is this prize. Can I please get this
$200
Lego set?
I hadn't gotten to that particular set to put it back where it belonged, but it was one that screamed it wasn't as low as 20, which is where another kid had left it. Entitled Grandma says,
Wow! That's a great prize, Entitled Brat. Entitled Mom, you should definitely let him get it.
Entitled Mom turns towards her Entitled Brat.
Oh, of course Entitled Brat can have that one. $20 is the least Mommy can spare for her son.
At this point, Cool Coworker 2 and I are both over here because he was about to switch with me while I was going to go on break. We interject. Ma'am, I'm sorry to say this, but that particular Lego set is $200, not $20. Cool Coworker 2 says,
Yeah, OP just hasn't had a chance to tidy that part of the section yet, and that belongs in the more expensive sets.
Entitled Friend, seeing the growing anger on Entitled Mom's face, steps in, but not to help us at all.
Excuse me? This was put into the $20 section. Therefore, it is $20.
She was legitimately doing an annoyed backhand clap into her other hand. Ma'am, it was put there by another child when their parents said it was too expensive and to find something else.
Bring me your manager right now. This is 20, and I will prove it.
I walkie for a manager to come over. Meanwhile, Entitled Mom says,
He deserves it at this price. He's been good all year. If you don't sell me at this price, you will be ruining his Christmas.
I want this set, no others.
Entitled Grandma.
We know, Entitled Brat. We'll get it for you at this good price.
Me and Cool Coworker 2 are trying not to roll our eyes. Entitled Friend says,
Oh, Lord. If you're lying to me, I'll have you fired.
Me internally, but not out loud. Good luck with that. I am seasonal, and it would cost more to fire me. Manager comes over and says, exhaustedly from all her stress, what seems to be the problem? The entitled group proceeds to tell their side of the story, adding plenty of details that didn't happen to make me seem like a deranged employee. I proceed to calmly tell my manager what actually happened. Manager tells me to go on break. I heard from Cool Coworker 2 that during my break, the manager told the entitled group that I had been right and that they were not going to sell such an expensive set for $20, but that there was a similar but cheaper one nearby. They had huffed out of the store, luckily without much other incident, while Cool Coworker 1 and I had break at the same time and laughed about the part that happened before my break. Moral of the story: no one deserves anything at 1/10 of the normal price unless it is marked down as such. Also, let poor manager lady get some really good rest. Next we've got Sweet Karma Hits Twice. Malicious compliance, I think. First and possible once-time writer here. I have another story a little stronger to share, but I don't feel comfortable making it public yet. Anyway, we've got manager, we've got the owner, we've got the lazy coworker, we've got mother-in-law, and we've got husband. First, I'd like to excuse myself, since English is not my first language. So around 2 years ago, I was working at a gas station on the night shift from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. I must add that before being hired, I was told by owner that my job would be chill, so I could bring a book and read during nighttime. Little to nothing I knew of the real job. Anyways, I showed up for training and things were nothing like I was told. Organize the place from shelves to signs, organize the storage, restock products, sell, clean inside, the whole place, outside, bathroom, water the plants, clean the pumps, pick up trash, and put it in the dumpster while saving trash bags, which ended with me getting my hands sticky and with disgusting odors while moving trash from bag to dump, only 1 bag per day. Cleaning the bakery stand and warm the morning snacks, pastries for the next shift, make inventory to request the next day, and so. Usually when I'm delayed because of sales, I had to stay and finish all my tasks, and then I could leave. Eventually, I got faster at my job, and sometimes during tasks, I'd take a break by standing still in one place inside the store. There was a stool to sit, but I didn't want to be called lazy, so I never sat there. Owner used to wake up every 30 minutes to check what I'm doing through the cameras, and once he saw me standing still, he called, asked me which part of my chores were done and which ones I was supposed to do next. And in between, he always found something else for me and also some additional tasks, like moving the branches of palm trees to adjacent spots where it's the city's duty to clean, so I don't overflow his containers with trash and similar. So in his mind, I should be 8 hours non-stop because it's fair. This job was not easy, and on top, we ended up with 1 short because the boss didn't help with some payment they had agreed on beforehand. Also, the guy was a jerk to my eyes because he used to mistreat a handicapped lady who always needed to buy pills and water. Anyways, I ended up working the entire week, no days off, no holidays, and thanks to the stress that the non-stop job caused, also paying for any differences in the sales at the end of the day. But I put up with that and kept working. Then, lazy coworker, who was working on the hours before me and should do all his tasks before handing the shift to me, started being lazy and doing things halfway because he was busy selling a lot. Excuses. So I ended up finishing his task, making mine and getting everything ready for the next day, which sometimes I succeeded at. I complained to the owner about lazy coworker, and he told me that I should help him instead of complaining. Later, I found the reason. Lazy coworker was getting less salary than the rest of us, and that's why owner was happy with whatever he did. Till one day. I was receiving the shift from lazy coworker, and we were together counting money and inventory when 2 kids, I said kids because they couldn't have been more than 14 at the oldest, showed up asking for cigars. And not the regular box. It's the type of simple cigars you can unroll and put the other stuff in. We have a law of 19 for cigars, 21 for alcohol, so I asked them for the ID to process the sale, and they claimed they didn't have it. So I said no. They begged me, and I repeated, without ID, there's no way I can authorize the sale. After the 3rd time they tried and I denied, lazy coworker told me, "Don't be like that. I'll pay for it." He gave me the money, took the cigars, and told the kids to pick them from the side. I was livid. Since I doubt the cameras record everything we do, I was afraid a cop could stop those kids, and since I denied the sale, they will accuse me of selling them cigars. Basic mean child way of thinking. So I called the owner and told him everything. and that I was fed up with lazy coworkers' laziness and ethics, and I hoped he would be corrected. Wrong. 2 days later, owner calls me before I got ready to go to work and told me that I was fired since I couldn't work as a team. I said, okay, I understand, but that was not what I was looking for, and started looking for another job. I didn't have any money saved because my salary was enough for all my expenses and nothing else, so I ended up asking money from a friend, which I'm still paying back. 2 months passed and I landed on a better paid place, and once in a while I talked to manager, who worked the 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. shift. One day she told me lazy coworker left the job and owner was asking if I wanted to return, but at lazy coworker's hours, which were better. Heck to the no, I said. I left that place. Why should I go back? New Year comes around. Around February, I called manager to get my W-2 for the taxes, and she told me to call the owner since she didn't work there anymore. I was surprised. Why? He treated you better than the rest. Why did you leave? All started months after lazy coworker left. Owner installed sound in the cameras so he can listen to whatever customers or workers say, and then he called manager asking me why she said or didn't say to a client kind of stuff. She also started to get tired of being accused of laziness, being the person who was in charge of everything in that place before I entered there. Till one day again, her mother-in-law fell sick and had to be moved to intensive care, and her husband had to take some days off to be with mother-in-law during the mornings, and she would wait till the end of her shift to cook at home for husband and go to the hospital to keep mother-in-law accompanied, so the only way they could communicate was through SMS. She was working and at times while free and without neglecting her activities, texted her husband about mother-in-law's health every once in a while. But she was spotted by owner through the cameras, and once he decided it was enough, he called her. Although I don't remember the whole spiel, the argument started like this. Owner:
Manager, I was calling you because I saw you texting during your work, and as you know, during this time, you should use it to serve customers.
Manager: I don't know, but when I send texts, there's no customers. However, I'd like to remind you my current situation. Manager told owner about mother-in-law's health issue. Once more, since it's been more than 4 days that mother-in-law has been in the hospital.
Okay, I understand, but you should take care of this problem after 3 p.m. because you're neglecting your tasks by doing so.
At this point, manager was fuming. She's been putting up with all kinds of BS from owner since the beginning and worked there for more than 4 years and was the one in charge of training newbies while running the entire place, while owner just sat by the phone looking through the cameras day and night. Wait, are you saying that I'm making this an excuse to not work as I should?
That's the way I see it. Since and even before the situation started, you...
And owner began to point all the things that were not how they should be. Wow, so that's all my fault? And then she clarifies owner point by point how things were that way and he should do his part instead of sitting the whole day by the phone checking if manager or others were stealing something.
Well, that doesn't excuse you from taking the time you're working for me to do other arrangements.
We're not talking about a party. A real person dear to me and my husband may die while I'm putting up with your harassment and complaints in this crappy job, and I've had enough. I want you to come here at this instant and take my shift. I quit.
You can't do that.
Oh, yes, I can. And I'm leaving in 20 minutes, whether you're here or not. And if you're not, I'll throw everyone out, even if they didn't pay for their stuff. Lock the store and throw the keys inside, because I don't want to see your face again. I was shocked while listening to this story. She told me that happened 2 months ago, and owner works now, the day shift, since he can't find someone reliable to him to do manager's job. Manager feels better and is now working relaxed and away from that poisonous environment. I don't know if owner got workers for the rest of the schedule since nobody can resist that level of micromanaging. Oh, I switched jobs again, and I'm way better than before. Perhaps one day I'll visit owner's gas station and update if I find something worthy of a post. And our final story of the day. Entitled kid attempts to steal my bike, gets a broken arm instead. Howdy, Mr. Reddit. I've been watching your videos for about a month now, and the bike video reminded me of this story. So, some background. This happened in February when I was still a freshman in high school. I rode my bike to school with one of my friends. Across the street from my high school is a strip mall, and one of those shops where there's a little ice cream place called Brewster's, which is amazing, by the way. This was on a Wednesday, and I decided to head there because my friend had martial arts and had to leave early. Before we get into the story, let's meet our wonderful cast. We've got me. We've got Karen, the entitled mother. We've got Billy, Karen's Satan spawn. We've got bystander. So, I get to the place, and since there isn't any real place to lock my bike, I lean it up against a bench. This will be important later. So I walk up to the window, give my order, and wait. As I'm waiting for my food, I feel a sharp tap on my shoulder. I look and see Karen standing there.
Excuse me? Where are your parents?
At work?
How old are you?
15. Why?
How did you get here?
I rode my bike here.
That one?
Points to my bike. Yeah, cool, ain't it? Karen proceeds to walk over to my bike and begins to inspect it.
Oh, this bike will be perfect. Billy, come here.
Here comes Billy, and he couldn't have been older than 9. Also, he looked like he weighed 150 pounds.
So, Billy, what do you think?
It looks so cool. Is it for me?
Yes, sweetie.
Sorry, but this bike is mine, and you're not taking it.
Listen here, punk. Billy is the best student in his class and deserves a reward. So you're going to give him this bike?
No. Now leave me alone.
Mommy, am I going to get the bike?
Yes, sweetie. Just a few more minutes.
Turns back to me.
Listen here. Billy is smarter than you, so he deserves this bike. Now give it before I take it.
No. Now leave me alone before this gets serious. Billy whispers something in Karen's ear, and she immediately lights up.
I'm sorry. We'll leave now.
Karen and Billy walk away. At this point, my order comes and I begin to eat. About 2 minutes later, I hear a loud crash and a kid crying. I turn and see Billy with my bike on the ground, crying with his arm seriously broken. You could actually see where it broke. Karen immediately rushes over.
Mommy!
It's okay, sweetie.
Turns back to me.
See what you did? Now we're definitely taking the bike.
Are you serious? Your kid tried to steal my bike, and you think I'm just going to give it to you? I suggest you leave. Now. Karen runs up to me.
If Billy is seriously hurt, I'll be suing you.
At this point, bystander comes over and separates us.
Ma'am, I saw everything. Your kid tried to steal his kid's bike and got hurt. There's no chance you're suing him. Now I think you should leave before I call the police.
Karen picks up Billy and heads back to her car. Before she drives off, she yells,
You'll be hearing from my lawyer.
and with that, she was gone. Bystander says,
Are you okay?
I'm fine. Thanks for sticking up for me back there.
No problem. Is the bike damaged?
No, Just a little fall.
Well, stay safe.
You too. I finished my meal and I headed home. 5 months later and still no lawsuit. Thanks for reading my story, Mr. Reddit. And I hope you read, as I'm enjoying my summer vacation in Hawaii.
I don't care that you can't walk. Give me that scooter now.
Hey, Mr. Reddit. I've been listening to you on YouTube for quite some time, and I enjoy listening to your videos. Never would I have thought I would have an entitled parent's tale of my own, but here we go. If you decide to use this in a video, please do so, and link me in the video on here. First, I don't really post here, so I'm not very aware of formatting, and I'm on mobile. Second, English is my first language. I'm just a spud on a good day. Now for some backstory that is very important to this tale. While I was training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu earlier this week, I was injured to the point that I required crutches, making it very difficult to walk. It's getting better, but I may require surgery. Now, on to the main attraction. Typical cast. Karen. We've got Karen's awesome husband. We've got me. I will be calling myself Yoshi from the viewpoint of my girl. We've got Purple, who is my girl. And R, Purple's little monster. I love that kid, even though she acts like a typical little jerk kid. So, I was at Six Flags with my girl, Purple, and R, and we're having the time of our lives. Going on rides, though we had to wait a bit and child swap because the little one is too little for the rides we like. Now, I would like to point out at this moment, I'm riding around on a little mobility scooter that anyone and everyone can rent. I rented one because I didn't want to walk around on crutches all day. Forget that noise. Back to the story. So, Purple and R go to the restroom, and I hit up the smoking section to vape because I was dying without my nicotine when she appears. The devil incarnate. The wild, majestic Karen. She approached me with the oh-so-brisk, "Can I speak to your manager" walk, and says,
Excuse me, can I ask you a question?
I'm thinking in my head, oh yeah, here we go, .gif. I've seen plenty of YouTube videos regarding Karens. Can I help you, ma'am?
I was wondering if I can take down your number and borrow your scooter, and I give you a call when I am done with it.
Nope. Sorry, but this rental is in my name, and I need to return it at the end of the night so I can get my deposit back. But the rental spot is here if you want one.
No, I don't want to spend money on one. Can I just borrow yours?
Nope. I will repeat myself one last time. The rental is in my name. I need to return it at the end of the night. At this point, I'm thinking, Jesus, take the wheel. Please, someone save me.
Young man, I want that scooter. My child is tired of walking, and I don't want to carry him. Now, please give me that scooter.
Now, quick side note. The night before, R went missing for a bit. We found her, but the scare has both Purple and myself on high alert and not really in the mood to deal with BS. Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave me be. I'm not in the mood. I have a headache and my knee hurts from all hobbling around. I do not want to continue. Insert typical Karen Ree here.
Don't you talk to me like that, you little jerk. I will let you know right now. I called security and told them you attacked me if you don't give me that scooter.
Karen standing there, smiling like she won. Again, I'm cradling crutches and on a scooter. I can't stand up on my own power without at least one of my crutches. I clearly am wearing a knee and ankle brace to support my leg. It's about 6 p.m. and I'm ready to go home because I'm exhausted mentally from losing R for that little bit physically because I've put so much strain on my body during the recovery process. I tell her, please, make my day. You come over, Demand to take my rental scooter that is actually helping me be mobile. You insult me and attempt to make a false claim for something that I didn't do. I'm sick of your crap, lady. Now I'm going to ask you this just once and only once. Please leave me be. She starts her typical Karen rant, calling me names and screaming. I don't want to post what she said because the language she used, and I'm fed up with it. And at this point, I grabbed the key and turned on the scooter and started riding off into the distance. At this moment, I see my girl and R walking back towards me and hear Karen screaming in the background. Purple asks, "Yoshi, is everything okay?" She's worried because I have this really mean look on my face, like I want to hurt someone. Which sucks because I did at this point, and I can't train because of a busted knee. Yeah, everything will be fine. Just some Karen doing Karen things, demanding my scooter. She breaks out laughing because she finally understands what a Karen is after listening to a couple of your videos while we drive around. Not the biggest fan, but will admit the two she listened to cracked her up. Now, everyone is thinking that is it. Six Flags is a huge place, that I'll never see her again. Well, my peeps, you are sadly mistaken. About an hour later, maybe much later, I don't know, I was tired and cranky and wasn't paying much attention to time. R needed to go to the restroom again, so we all started heading there. Smoking section is always by the restrooms, so I take full advantage. While I'm getting my nick fix, guess who appears? If you said Karen, you're correct. Karen approaches me with her awesome husband and her spawn in tow. Karen.
Ah, there. That's the jerk who didn't want to give up his scooter.
I'm vaping and enjoying some peace and quiet without Purple's jerk monster throwing a level 2 nuclear meltdown because she didn't get what she wanted at that exact moment. I love that kid with all my heart, but the nuclear meltdowns are tiring. Anyway, back to the story. Me thinking in the back of my head, let's get ready to rumble boxing round 2.avi. Awesome husband tells Karen,
Let me handle this.
and walks up to me calmly. Me thinking to myself, this might end bad. I'm injured and I don't really want to have to defend myself. I need both legs.
Hello, young man. I'm sorry to bother you, but I want to apologize for my wife's behavior. I can clearly see you're injured, and you have that scooter for a reason.
I'm obviously shocked at this point. Like, what?
I would like to know how you got that injury to your knee.
So I proceed to tell him how I was training for my first competition in the winter and fight next year, and if I train harder, then I might be able to go to Pan Ams and the Olympics. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is finally going to the Olympics, but I will have to take top 3 overall in the Pan Ams to qualify. Pan Ams is the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu version of the Olympics. It's our world championship.
Young man, I hope you make a speedy recovery and can live your dreams. Thank you for your time.
Awesome husband stands up, shakes my hand, and walks over to Karen and tells her to stop bothering people. And if she wanted a scooter, all she had to do was ask him, and they would have rented one. I'm left flabbergasted, and Purple and R come back. R again throws a level 2 nuclear meltdown because she was thirsty and wanted to go on a ride. My headache came back almost immediately. We started walking, well, me rolling, toward the ride, which was the final ride of the night. Thanks, guys, for reading my story. If there's anything that needs clearing up, let me know so I can edit. Next, we've got I'm not watching your kids on my 18th birthday. Sorry if this is really long, but felt the need to share after a run-in with my entitled parent, my own sister. She reminded me about this while complaining that her daughter didn't want to hang out with her for her 18th birthday. Little backstory. I'm the middle of 5 kids, and it's a complicated mess from my mom being married 3 times. Basically, the order of us is my older sister from her first marriage that was raised by her grandmother for reasons I was never told. There's me and my younger brother from her second. He's only a year younger than me, and we've always been super close because we were raised together. Then there's my stepsister, who's a few weeks younger, and a stepbrother a few years older than me from her third and last marriage. That man was a saint and treated me more like a daughter than my waste-of-a-skin father ever did. The oldest of us is almost 10 years older than me, and because she had a kid young, I was 8 when my first nephew was born. Thankfully, she didn't live with the rest of us then, but when she moved back in with us when I was older, around 16, she had some fight with her baby daddy and bailed. I somehow became a free babysitter for her kids every weekend. This really upset me because my mom not only allowed it, she told me I had no choice because she needed time away from the kids. Never mind the fact that I'm juggling school, a part-time job, and Army cadets, and she was a stay-at-home mom. I had one night to myself each week to do my homework or go out with my friends, and my sister would bugger off and leave me with her little goblins. She didn't even have the decency to feed them first, and those little jerks, ages 2, 7, and 8, were picky eaters. And trying to do my homework with these 3 fighting was more than I could take. It came to a point that I stopped coming home till late on my days off and just heading to the library or friends instead. This was also in the days before cell phones were commonplace and cost like $900 up front, so my sister couldn't text to demand where I was. I often miss the days before texting and social media for reasons like this. I know, ironic considering I post on Reddit. As soon as I would walk in the door, she practically bolted and got mad if I told her I had to go to work or cadets. Other problems she caused were things like when my boyfriend would pick me up before school and she would hit on him. Once she grabbed his car keys and dropped them down in front of her and told him if he wanted them, he would have to grab them. He quickly responded that he didn't want his hands anywhere near her, and we ended up walking. I lived close enough to the school, but he didn't, and I had to lend him my bus pass until I could get his car keys back. Or she poked fun at a friend of mine who was really short due to Turner syndrome. On top of that, my mom and stepdad, who were truck drivers, were home less and less as we got older. My mom had made me start to pay rent when I got my part-time job, about $50 a week that went into helping the bills. I hated that because I didn't make a lot and my bus passes were not cheap. My mom also started to tell me that the money that I would give her for my rent was to go to my sister to buy groceries. My sister, on the other hand, used it to go to the casino with her other sister, then lie to my mom and tell her that I didn't give her the money. Had to start getting her to sign receipts from a book I got at a dollar store just to prove she was full of crap. Anyways, this went on for close to 2 years. Sorry for the long backstory, but this woman was the bane of my teen years and part of my 20s. What finally broke the camel's back was my 18th birthday. My mom and stepdad couldn't be there because of work, which was fine, and I had bought a nice dress to wear with some friends at the bar. Legal drinking age where I live is 18. They also told me that they would be home the morning after, so we could grab lunch together after they had a nap. The cast. We've got me. We've got my sis, entitled jerk sister. I got home from school to shower and get dressed to head out. Because of her antic, I had a lock installed on my bedroom door. That, and I didn't want her kids in my room because they would break things. I was in such a hurry that I forgot to relock my door while I was in the shower, and when I got back to my room, she was there, trying to zip up the dress I bought on her. but she was too fat to manage it. "Take that off and get the heck out of my room."
But I need something to wear tonight. I'm going out, and you have to watch the kids.
"Like heck I am. It's my 18th birthday. I'm going out."
But I need you to watch them. You haven't been home, and I can't afford a sitter.
Then I hear a rip as one of the side seams bursts open. Smugly, she takes it off and drops it to the floor.
Looks like you're not going now, huh?
And she walked out of my room. I checked the dress. The stitches on the seam broke, so I could fix it in less than 5 minutes. I call my boyfriend and tell him what's going on, and he told me he would handle it and to get ready to go. I fix the dress, get ready, and as I finish my makeup, I hear my sister start screaming in rage. I go outside and barely hold back my laughter. All 4 tires on her car are flat. Then my boyfriend pulls up and I pout at her. "Looks like you won't be going anywhere, huh?" And we leave. Boyfriend had parked his car down the street and snuck over to let the air out, but not slash them. He wasn't that much of a jerk. That night was a blast, what I remember of it. I didn't get home until the crack of dawn, just as my parents got home. Mom didn't say anything, just asked if I had fun and told me to be up by 11 so we could go and eat. I went to my room and collapsed into my bed. I heard my sister start to whine to them in the kitchen. Must have thought she could turn this to get me in shot. But my mom wasn't having any of it and tore into her like I had never heard before. Not only was my sister called selfish and childish for trying to pull such a stunt that she was not living there for free any longer. She was given 30 days to either get a job or leave. She moved back in with her baby daddy 2 weeks later. Apparently, she had been seeing him the whole time she was living with us and was getting welfare checks without giving my parents a dime to help out, while not even buying so much as a box of cereal for her kids. To this day, I hate when any of my siblings, even my younger brother, asks me to watch their kids. I don't hate my nieces or nephews, far from it. I just don't want to be in the situation of being that run-to free babysitter. I'm also the only one among us 5 who doesn't have kids, and I'm perfectly content with that. My kids have 4 legs and fur. And our final story of the day, entitled Dinosaur Tries to Go into the Pool. Posting on mobile. So people always apologize for weird formatting, so I'm sorry. Kinda long, but I want to get every juicy detail. Our cast. We've got me, coworker, entitled grandmother, entitled mother, and entitled father. Alright, so this just happened, so buckle up. So, coworker and I are lifeguards, and the way our company works is HOAs contract our company, and our company sends lifeguards to work at their neighborhood pools. So, this specific pool is in a very nice neighborhood, and the people here, while all rich, are pretty humble. But also being in this area, I was expecting a wild Karen to show up at some point, and lo and behold, it happens. So our pool doesn't have pool tags, but a fingerprint scanner that unlocks the magnet. So we could see that the door wasn't opening for this lady, and she waves us to go to the gate, so coworker and I head over. Entitled Grandma.
The fingerprint isn't working. Can you let us in, please?
Sorry, ma'am. We can't let you in if the fingerprint doesn't work.
But my grandchildren wanted to come to the pool, and my daughter has the fingerprint but is away on vacation. I'm babysitting them, so how do you expect me to let them in the pool?
Ma'am, we're still not allowed to. At other pools that have keys or key fobs, if they don't work or don't have one, we're not supposed to let them in. Even though this is a fingerprint, it's the same concept.
Is the HOA here?
Most likely going to see if the HOA would just tell us to let them in. Coworker says,
We don't think so, but you're more than welcome to schedule an appointment with them.
Who's the HOA? I want to speak with them.
I don't know. I've never met them. Coworker has because she lives in the neighborhood, but has only met her once.
You don't know your HOA? How do you work here then?
We're not employed by the HOA. They employ our company, and our company employs us. At this point, Coworker and I were having our resting jerk faces.
You know what? I'm going to call my daughter.
Proceeds to call daughter.
Yeah, they're not letting us in. They said we need a fingerprint, but you're out of town.
She was on speaker. Entitled Mom says,
I told you to get a fingerprint done when I left.
Coworker and I try hiding our smug grins, but that wasn't the end of it. Entitled Mom.
Who's not letting you in? Who are they?
Entitled Grandma.
You're on speaker. They can hear you.
Coworker says,
We're lifeguards.
Entitled Mom.
Well, I'm not there. Can you let them in?
We explained to her again the thing about not letting people in without fingerprints. Entitled Mother starts getting a little agitated.
But I'm not there. I can send you a picture of my driver's license so you can see my address and see where I live. My mother can show you to our house.
I don't even want to start going anywhere outside this gate, let alone her house. We're not allowed to leave the pool also.
I pay thousands of dollars to live there, and you can't let them use the pool?
I can hear her talking in the background to someone.
The lifeguards won't let them in.
She repeats this 2 times, and Coworker and I can hear it's a man she's talking to, most likely her husband. Entitled Father.
What's going on?
He sounds absolutely furious.
Give me the phone. Who are you?
He's directing the questions at us. Coworker and I look at each other, obviously very uncomfortable at the thought of giving our names to strangers. He asks again, still very angry. Coworker gives her name, so I can't let her take all the blame, so I give my name too.
You and you? I'll make sure you two don't have a job.
They hang up, and the grandmother is still there.
He was very angry.
Coworker and me. We can see that. Anyways, have a good day. And the sad part is one of their 2 kids, who was really little, was calling to us while walking away. Sorry, so sorry. And he was waving, and we felt so bad for those kids. I called my supervisor to give him a heads up, and he told us to fill an incident report because they might get a call from them within the week, and they want to know what happened. But our supervisor calmed us down and said we'd be fine and that we did our jobs perfectly.
What do you mean he doesn't speak English?
This happened about a few months back, on mobile by the way. I'm adopted from Korea and speak some Korean, but I understand it more than speaking. Understanding, yes, I cannot exactly speak it back very well. It is enough for some people to understand me. So, for background knowledge, I had a Korean exchange student at school, so I decided to take him out to a nice dinner in town. The exchange student said that he had not tried much American food yet, so I thought it would be a good idea to take him to an American diner. Man, was I wrong. Our cast. We've got me. We've got Korean exchange student. We've got the waiter, the greeter, and the entitled mom. And the kid, entitled mom's precious baby. Korean student had not taken much transport in America but taxi, so I took him on a bus. This is located near Washington, D.C. Me and Korean student take the bus down to the closest bus stop to the diner and go to the diner. We enter and get seated. Great seats and all. Korean student's English was not that great, so I had to use improper grammar to talk to him. What food you want? Student says in Korean. Hamburger. I hear it is very delicious. I nod my head and the waiter comes over. May I take your orders? I would like a hamburger with cheddar cheese, onion, lettuce, and bacon. Okay, and how would you like that cooked? Medium well. Waiter says to Korean student, "What would you like?" Korean student says in Korean, "Hamburger with cheese, tomato, lettuce, and onion." I tell the waiter, he would like a hamburger with cheese, lettuce, and onion. Waiter asks student, "How would you like it cooked?" Korean says again in Korean, "Same as him," points to me. He wants it medium well as well. "Drinks?" "Coke." "Choco milkshake." In Korean, choco means chocolate. "I will go put your orders in." He takes our menus. Entitled mom and entitled kid enter.
Hello? I want to be seated with my child.
Everyone is staring at her now. Greeter was seating someone. Greeter goes to their post. "Hi, may I?"
It took you long enough. Seat me and my child now.
"Would you like a high top table or
I want to be seated.
Okay. Greeter gives entitled mom and kid a booth. They seem happy, so everyone goes back to eating. Waiter takes their orders and then brings our food out. I ask the Korean student, "Food good?" He says in Korean, "Yes, so good. I think I want to eat another one." "Finish first. Maybe one more." I finished my plate. Korean student eats more and says in Korean, "I don't know how you eat hamburger and fries so quick." I eat a lot of hamburger. Entitled mom seemed to hear an unknown language, and so she decides to come to our table.
Excuse me, but this
Pointing at Korean student,
person is not speaking English. Make him speak English.
"He doesn't speak good English."
What do you mean he doesn't speak English?
Well, he's from Korea. He doesn't live here. He's an exchange student and only wants to try American food. I tell the Korean student in bad Korean, "Tell idiot," points to entitled mom, "English stuff." Korean student says, "You are idiot. I no speak English good. I from Korea." Entitled mom looked shocked and put her hand over her mouth.
You don't talk to me that way. Do you know who I am?
Korean student looks very confused. I say in Korean, "She asks who she is." Korean student nods and says, "Yes, you are idiot." I'm trying not to burst out into laughter. Her kid comes over and asks what's wrong.
Don't worry, sweetie. I will make him speak proper English. No more Korean.
What? I think Korean is cool. Don't make him stop, please.
This is America. People should only speak English.
See, now probably if you look back into your ancestry, you will find that you are not just American and that you're probably a little Spanish. Entitled mom is shocked.
How dare you talk to me like that? Do you know who I am?
Yeah, an entitled person. Now go sit down.
Shut up, lady. I try and eat.
Go back to China. You both probably belong there.
Entitled mom grabs kid by the arm and goes back to her table. Waiter comes back after entitled mom and kid go back to their table. Was she bothering you? Yes, she was telling my friend not to speak his native language. Okay, I was watching, but didn't know if she was your family friend or something. Sorry that I did not intervene. I ask for the bill. He gets our bill and I look at it. He put a 20% discount on the bill. He also apologized again for not intervening and for any inconveniences. Poor waiter, probably has to deal with this BS all the time. I pay, and me and Korean student leave. On our way out, we hear from entitled mom.
You better go back to your home country. ICE will probably be coming after you soon.
Me and Korean student just ignore her from then on. We don't know what happened from there on. Next we've got entitled mom calls the cops on my dad in a Walmart. Hey, Mr. Reddit. I just started watching your videos, and it reminded me of this story. I'm on mobile, and English is my first language. Sorry for any grammar mistakes in advance. Background. I have a big family, 8 people in the house at most. We aren't the healthiest and get soda from stores from time to time. We like to collect the soda cans and return them at a Walmart or Kroger. I live in the Midwest to get some money that we can keep for special occasions. This was a few years ago. and I was a 12-year-old jerk preteen. Our cast. We've got me, my twin sister, my awesome dad, Karen, cop. One day, my dad decided to take sister and I to Walmart to return cans. There was a giant pile of trash bags in our garage of just soda cans. When we arrived, we went to get carts to pull the bags in to easily move them around. Sister and I love each other, but casually argue as normal sisters would. We were arguing while getting the carts. Dad pulled us aside and quietly yelled at us to knock it off. A few minutes later, when we were putting the cans in the machines, Karen came up to me and said,
It's going to be all right. My husband would never treat my kids like that.
I have social anxiety and didn't know how to properly handle this confrontation. Okay? She left me for a while and we continued to return cans. A few minutes later, we see Karen talking to the cop. Karen and the cop walked up to Dad and walked outside. Dad told us to continue putting the cans in the machine while he went outside to talk to Karen and the cop. Dad decided to tell us what happened when he talked to the cop because he didn't want us to be worried considering our age. The following conversation ensued. The cop asks,
So, what's the problem?
This man was yelling and hitting his kids.
My two girls were fighting, so I took them aside and told them to knock it off. I'm sorry if that made you uncomfortable, lady. I was disciplining my kids.
Liar! My husband would never treat my kids like that. How dare you?
to the cop.
This man verbally harassed me after telling his daughter everything will be okay.
Excuse me, lady. I never said anything to you when you spoke to my daughter.
He tells the cop.
My daughter told me what she said to her. She freaked out as she has social anxiety and doesn't know how to deal with confrontation to absolute strangers. It's okay, sir. From the looks of it, you did nothing wrong. As to the way you're handling the situation, everything is going to be okay, and nothing will happen to you or your children.
He tells Karen.
Miss, I'm going to need you to stay while I explain to you when you should call 911.
Excuse me?
Insert Mr. Reddit Re.
This man abused me and his kids. He shouldn't be able to walk away.
That's the end of the story. This Karen actually seemed to care about Sister and I, but the way she handled the situation could have been better. And this Karen was also 18 to 19 years old. Also, I experience these a lot because we live in a rather wealthy part of Michigan. If you want more stories, upvote this. You're more than welcome to use this story in a video. If you do, please message me when the video will be out. Heart emoji. Next we've got The Final Straw, Entitled Mother. Hi again, Mr. Reddit. I don't know if you remember me, but I was so happy to see you posted my last story, and many others really wanted to hear The Final Straw. Once again, English is my first language. I am not on mobile, and the entitled mother in this story is my own. Our cast. We've got me, my sister, nice housemate, entitled mother, who many also pointed out was abusive. She definitely was. This happened only a month or so after the babysitting money incident, which we actually read just a few videos ago. It was around the end of September of 2010, 9 years ago, and I was 15. My mother had a terrible habit of taking shopping carts home when she finished grocery shopping. She would not even get her own personal cart online or in Walmart or something, as she was too cheap. In the past, we lived closer to the main city, so disposing of it was easier for her. However, in the place we were currently living during the said incident, we lived around 5 miles from any grocery or other stores. The closest store was the gas station about a mile down. When she told me to go take the shopping cart 5 miles uphill back to the store, I really did not want to do so. I asked, why couldn't I just go leave it close by somewhere? I know, not the best idea, but I was a dumb teenager. But she would not budge and told me I had to go. As I was getting ready to leave for the walk there and back, the nice housemate, who had been listening in during that whole conversation as it happened in the living room, told me something very frightening. She showed me a window she had opened online regarding being in possession of a shopping cart. The law basically said the person found to be in possession would be jailed, regardless of age, and fined around $5,000 to $10,000. I cannot remember which it was, you will forgive me. Needless to say, I was terrified of returning the cart, as the streets I would walk through always had police going up and down it. I did not want to be caught with it, so I did the only thing I thought I could. I went down the street for about 5 minutes with it to an alley and dumped it there. Now, I will admit that I take some blame in this situation, mostly for being so dumb to think that my mother would buy this. As I said, the full trip was 5 miles uphill and a 5-mile walk back downhill this time. At my fastest, it should have taken an hour. I walked about 10 minutes total to dump the cart and return home. I should have remained out for 3 hours, should have gone to Stacy's to chill, but I just wanted to go back home and play on my DS.
When are you going to go take the shopping cart to the store?
I just did.
Don't lie to me. Go bring the cart to the store. You haven't even been gone 15 minutes.
We went on like this for a while, until I finally broke down and told her about the law, not wanting to be fined, etc. She grabbed my arm so tightly that bruises formed and basically hissed at me.
Go return the cart. Now!
I tried to get out of her arms, but she wouldn't let me go. Finally, I managed, told her no, then left the house again, running this time. But I was, and still am, a slow girl. So in no time, she caught me by my tank top back, the back neckline, and was yanking hard to get me back into the house. I remember my tank top, a very nice, pretty, and flowy one, ripping down the shoulder line and nearly breaking off. I remember crying and screaming for her to let me go. I have to say the next bit was a bit of a blur. At some point, a neighbor called the police, and I remember crying and sobbing and trying to get out of her grip. I remember the police coming and handcuffing me, and me trying to tell them my side, but hyperventilating too much. I was having trouble breathing and believe I was having a panic attack. The police told me that it was my fault for the entire incident and that I had to listen to anything my mother said, no matter what. I really think they thought I was making this story up, as it does seem ludicrous to claim that an entire fight like that happened over a shopping cart. Soon the police left, and my mother grounded me for another month. This incident had me so upset that I contemplated running away. A couple of days later, Nice housemate told me that I should call 1-800-RUNAWAY as soon as possible, as if I told them the situation and that I was contemplating running away, they would handle things for me. A week later, I had an opportunity. My mother was going to a concert, and Nice housemate was going to be out with her sons and boyfriend. So, Entitled Mom gave me back my phone for the night, telling me to call in case of an emergency. I waited 45 minutes after she left to make sure she wouldn't come back when I was calling, and then called. I explained everything, more than just the last 2 stories, and they filed a complete CPS report to get both me and sister out of the house. I deleted the call history once I finished the call. A slightly funny extra happened the next morning, Sunday morning. My mother burst into my room out of nowhere, demanding my phone. She told me to lie to the police after she got off the phone with them, to tell them I had been up and seen my nice housemate pour hot coffee on her on purpose. I didn't lie to the police and told them I had been sleeping and had not seen a thing. They decided to instead look my mother up and found out she had a warrant out for her arrest in another county. They ended up arresting her on the spot, and I fervently remember her saying that it was my fault. It was such sweet karma though. 2 days later, sister and I were picked up by the police and taken to a foster home. I have more stories before and after this too, and will post them as I can. Thanks so much for listening. And our final story of the day, ex-boyfriend's psycho stepmom. This is my first time posting. I listen to your YouTube channel all the time, and it inspired me to share. I actually created a Reddit account just to share this story of one of the most awful people I have ever had the displeasure of meeting. This takes place over the course of a few months during a time in my life which I was in the habit of making bad decisions. I was 19 when this all took place. At this point in my life, I had moved out of my parents' house and ended up pregnant with a previous ex-boyfriend's baby. That's another story that I'm not proud of, as it was actually completely out of character for me. My now 10-year-old daughter is doing very well, and her biological father is not in her life for the better. At the time this story takes place, I was about 5 months along and had ran into a guy that I went to elementary school with. I had always had a crush on him, but he moved away in junior high before I had the courage to say anything. We met again through a friend and started dating. He was aware of my situation and very supportive. At the time, I was very much into spirituality, and it played a prominent role in my life. This comes into play later. Now, his biological mom had always been pretty laid back and was very welcoming of my beliefs and my condition, as was his father. His stepmother, perfect Karen look by the way, seemed to be as well, at least with my pregnancy. However, what happened over the next few months really showed everyone how crazy stepmom actually was. She was an avid churchgoer, and I knew this from my previous interactions with her. I had asked my ex to not tell her about my spiritualism, as I had a feeling it would upset her. Little did I know that upset is an understatement. He told her anyway, against my wishes, for reasons that are still unknown to me. Next time I saw her, our interactions began to go downhill. On this day, we had gone over to watch a movie and eat dinner. Our cast. We've got entitled stepmom, ex's entitled psycho stepmother. We've got ex's dad. He was an okay guy. We've got ex, my ex. We've got entitled stepsister. She wasn't bad at first, but her mother did eventually rub off on her. And me. We had just pulled up, and entitled stepmom was waiting for us outside the house.
About time you show up. Dinner is almost ready.
Always has a fake smile plastered to her face. Ex says, "Yeah, sorry we are late," as I'm getting out of the car.
OP, I heard about your little problem.
Excuse me?
I told her about your beliefs yesterday.
Why would you do that?
She asked what church you go to, and I didn't want to lie.
Don't worry. There is no need to be embarrassed. We will fix your little problem.
That phrase was my first clue that I was in for a world of pain. It wasn't spoken about anymore that night, but I was definitely on edge. If you're into spirituality, you will know the feeling of imminent doom I'm talking about when the wrong person is given such private info about you. After that, I was mad at my ex for a while, but eventually forgave him because he assured me she wouldn't be a bully towards me. A few weeks later, she had invited us to her church several times at this point, which we politely declined. She called my ex.
Why won't that devil worshipper let you come to church?
Mom, I don't like your church. She went to a very enthusiastic Pentecostal church. If you were raised around them, you will know what I'm talking about.
No, she's keeping you from God. I just know it.
No, Mom, this has nothing to do with her. I was willing to go to her church out of politeness, as other religions don't bother me. But he genuinely didn't want to go, and I wasn't going to force him or anything.
She's probably possessed you with demons. You're corrupted right now. You have to go to church with me to be saved from her evil influence. My pastor said you have to come to church with me so we can exorcise the demons. She's a bad person, and you have to break up with her.
Mom, she's not that bad a person at all. She just has different beliefs than you. She's been turning her life around, and we really don't need this right now. Goodbye. He hung up the phone, and from his expression, I knew what the conversation was about. I told him that I don't want bad blood with entitled stepmom, and that we could go to church with her to keep her off our back. He said he didn't want to, because he knew she had something sinister planned and didn't want to stress me out because I was pregnant and it was bad for the baby. I agreed, and we went on with our life, but she had more devious plots than I realized. Over the course of the next few weeks, she went further down the rabbit hole and made a good attempt to take us with her. She kept stalking my MySpace. It was still big at the time. and sending me nasty messages trying to get me to convert or just plain attacking me. Her daughter, who I thought had no issues with me, started ganging up on me with her mother. This is a message conversation on MySpace between us three. Entitled Stepsister.
My mom said you are trying to put curses on her. You need to stop or I'm gonna call the police.
No. I don't believe in curses. Plus, what cop would answer that call?
We are going to call the cops and say you are passing out drugs
Why would I do that?
because that's what evil people like you do. You just corrupt others with your demon horde.
You know I've been saving all of our conversations, right? So it won't work. I thought you were a nice person when I met you, but you're proving me wrong. I don't want to fight with you for X's sake. He doesn't deserve this, and frankly, I don't either. I've done nothing to you. I respect your beliefs. Why can't you do the same for me?
Because you're evil and doing wrong. We know you talk to the devil and are corrupting my brother. You're probably going to hurt your baby when she's born too.
Okay, you're both being absolutely crazy. I'm going to end this conversation. I logged off and told X what was said, and he called his dad. You need to tell Entitled Stepmom and Entitled Stepsister to stop harassing OP. She's done nothing wrong, and they keep harassing her. I don't want a relationship with them if they keep doing this. X's dad says, You know I can't control her when it comes to religion. She already has the church on her side. Dad, she's already threatening to call the cops on OP for bogus charges. I won't let her go that far. Just go to church with her every once in a while. That's all she wants. She's taking it too far and needs to stop. X's dad says, while they're screeching in the background, Apparently, you're not allowed over here since you're still dating her. I'll talk to Entitled Stepmom. This is getting ridiculous. This woman was obsessed. She would come by his house speaking in tongues, claiming she was exorcising demons that I supposedly brought. She tried to get him back together with his ex and got her involved in harassing me and had her call him constantly. She even got his biological mother in on it, half-heartedly, however. She was using every avenue to break me, and it was working. There were times I felt so mentally drained, I was in tears. I have months' worth of hate saved on my hard drive for my own safety. We were planning on a restraining order. Soon we found out Entitled Stepsister and her husband were expecting that if I fought back or stood up for myself in any way, they would claim child endangerment. Keep in mind, I was heavily pregnant throughout all of this, and according to them, I wasn't Christian. My pregnancy didn't matter because my child was supposedly tainted. At this point, I was done. My ex and I decided to move out of state with my parents, who were beyond supportive by the way, and get away from the chaos of my past and his crazy family. I've gone on for a while now, and I will tell you the aftermath. My ex and I broke up because he ended up cheating on me 1 month after I had my daughter, and a few months later, I heard that even after we broke up, she was still obsessed. It ended up utterly destroying her marriage, and X's dad kicked her out. This whole episode of my life was a nightmare that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy, except maybe Entitled Stepmom. She did a lot more heinous things that I didn't mention, but it was months of pure torture. All of this is true. There is someone out there that really messed up. I don't know where she's at anymore, but she's still out there, probably still talking about the evil spiritualist that destroyed her marriage with a fake curse. Be careful. Entitled Mom wants me to get rid of my snakes or move out of my parents' house. I was told this belongs here. I have snakes as pets due to my passion for them. None of the snakes are venomous, only constrictors. My parents knew about my passion since I was little, and while it took them a while to get used to it, they're now totally cool with my snakes. I keep the snakes in their enclosures in my room. However, whenever my parents' friends who have 2 kids, who are 9 and 11, come over, the mom always complains about the safety of their kids. I have a rule that the kids can't go into my room because they always go through my stuff and ruin things. Their mom always talks smack to my parents like,
Why do you even allow her to keep snakes? Those aren't pets. You should throw them all away. You should tell her to move out.
How can you accept that?
The dad is totally cool and even asked me a few times if he can hold the snakes. Now, I have tried explaining to the mom multiple times that they cannot escape due to their enclosures. They could only escape if I wasn't paying attention and not closing their enclosures. And if they do escape, I have the docile species that are constrictors, not venomous. They don't even bite and would just run away and hide because they'd be scared. Yesterday they came over. When I went to the bathroom, the kids went in my room, and I could hear the little one yelling,
Mommy, Mommy, come check this out.
but I thought it was something random. When I came out of the bathroom, I found the mom looking horrified at her kids being amazed by my snakes. Of course, I started smiling when I saw them paying so much attention to the snakes and being curious. It makes me happy when people don't have the
It's a snake, so it must be bad and
Venomous.
mentality. But that smile soon disappeared when the mom started yelling at me. My parents came as well into my room to see what was happening. She kept yelling at me that her kids could have been in danger and how irresponsible I am and how could I keep snakes as pets and so on after the 1,000+ times I explained to her that my snakes are docile and not venomous, and it's not her business what I keep as pets and what my passion is. She kept yelling at me, telling me crap, and I was just looking at her like, what are you smoking? After explaining to her that nobody's lives were in danger because the snakes couldn't escape, she, still yelling, started telling my parents that I need to move out and how could they live with me. At that point, I snapped and I started yelling at her that when I went to the bathroom, I closed my door. And if anyone was at fault, it was she because she didn't teach her kids to respect rules. And since my parents agreed to let me have snakes in their house, it shouldn't be her problem. I never forced her to look at my snakes. I never force her to handle them. And I never force her to listen to me explain the different types of snakes and all that because I know she is afraid of snakes, so I never pushed this onto her. I would only tell her about my snakes when she would randomly talk smack about them. I grew up differently. When I was told no, it was no. When I was told you're not allowed to go in there, I wouldn't. So I expect the same from her because she always talks about how great of a parent she is. She just lets the kids do whatever they want. She just called me a jerk and told me I need to get rid of my snakes or move out of my parents' house, or else she won't be coming over anymore. When my parents and even her husband took my part, she got super mad, took the kids and went home. I understand her concerns, but she needs to understand that that is my room and her kids shouldn't have come in there, especially that my door was closed and they know the rule. I'm not okay with her allowing her kids to do whatever they want. However, I feel bad for the kids because they are curious and want to know more about the worm dragons, as they call my snakes. The dad, as I said, is totally cool and would love for the kids to know more about snakes other than
snake bad, snake bite
mentality that their mom is teaching them. The mom has been ignoring me and my parents and doesn't even talk with her husband because he took my part. I texted her and asked her that if she feels so unsafe when she comes over, why does she even keep coming over? Next we've got Entitled Woman demands I help her in a store even when it's not my job. Tries to then get me fired at my actual workplace. Hello, Mr. Reddit and Re-Army. I didn't think that I would have another story this soon, but alas. This is just further proof to myself as well that my area is filled with entitled and outrageous people as much as I wish otherwise. This time, this story is not only about me at my job, but also in public with complete strangers. Here we go. It's another long one. Backstory. As I said previously, I am a teen services library in a public library that caters to one of the largest school districts in the state. The people here view themselves as from a higher pedigree than others and have the personalities to match. This story happened this past Saturday after work. I am at the mall doing some shopping for some of the summer sales. Granted, I didn't realize that I had my name tag still on, and it has the library's name and emblem on it as well, making it obvious that I don't work in any of the stores. Anyway, on with the story. Our cast. We've got me. We've got the department store employee. We've got the manager of the department store. We've got the entitled woman. We've got my supervisor at my job. And we've got the library director. Story. I am finally out from working a busy full day from opening to closing and decide to go to the mall after. It is only about 20 minutes away and still in the school district boundaries. When I go into a store, I am approached by a few of the teens I associate with at work very often. They ask me some questions about upcoming events, and I answer them to the best of my ability. After another few moments, we part ways. Me continuing further into the store to browse around. Combing through the clearance with hangers of clothes hooked on my arm, I hear a woman huffing a little and feel the hard two-finger tap on my shoulder. If I didn't know any better, I bet she wanted to gouge out some flesh with those acrylics she had on.
Excuse me? I have to chase you to the other end of the store after you help those teenagers and don't even offer to help me.
While this woman doesn't have the Karen haircut or appearance, she makes up for it in the personality. She moves her sunglasses off her face to the top of her head, while I guess trying to give me a mom glare. I look younger than I am. Ma'am, I don't work here. I'm a librarian, and those were the teens who I see almost every day. I'm sorry that you got the wrong impression. I try to stay as professional and calm as possible. While she may be rude, I refuse to be. Entitled woman huffs, rolling her eyes and crossing her arms over her chest.
Whatever. You still represent the library, even when you're not working.
You help people get stuff at work, so you have to help me now.
I blink at her for a moment, not really getting that logic. Without me physically being at the library, no, I don't have to do squat for this woman. At this point, I don't even want to volunteer to help her find an employee anymore, like I was planning to do in the first place. I do notice that the keychain in her hands has the mascot and name of one of the elementary schools in the district, though. Ma'am, again, I don't work here. I'm sorry, but it is not my job right now to help you in this store. It takes everything at this point to keep the calm and serene tone of my voice going. Unfortunately, my explanation still doesn't fly with this woman. She literally stomps her foot like a 5-year-old and gets louder as she goes on.
No, no, no! You are a civil servant. That means you serve. That means that you listen to what I tell you and want to help me. Now!
By now, people are staring. It makes me turn a little red. If I was back in my teens, I would most likely have hidden the clothing racks next to me. Can I help you, ladies? A cute little employee comes up to us. She's in her late teens, early 20s, and is eyeing the situation like it's a horde of snakes. But I give her mental kudos for having the cojones to step in at the end of that tirade, giving me a,
Ha! Look what I'm gonna do now.
look. Entitled woman turns to the employee.
Thank you, yes.
I need to speak to your manager here and have them go through the cameras here. This jerk,
Points to me.
Has been impolite, unwilling to help me,
and discriminatory to me for the past 10 minutes.
All right. At best, it's been maybe 2 or 3. Whatever. Of course. I'm sorry. I have no idea what had happened. I just got in. Employee flounders, looking between us. I feel myself get a little more red. and getting nervous with the involvement of a manager, innocent or not. Confrontation is not my strong suit, and I have a horrible expression of looking guilty even when I am not most times, according to my boyfriend and family. Manager now comes over. She's a woman I recognize from visiting the library as a patron, though I never interacted with her. She smiles at me, also recognizing me. "Hi, you're from the library, right? In the teen department." I smile, realizing that I have an ally in my corner, and just nod. Not that I would have a chance to say anything else. Entitled woman instantly steps in.
Yes, she's from the library and is refusing to help me.
Entitled woman makes her voice sound all meek and sad when you were previously able to possibly hear her from Mars a minute ago. Manager looks at me, and I give a droll one in return, getting pretty done with this situation at this point. Entitled woman is so busy trying to make herself look like the sad little victim here. Manager meets eye contact with entitled woman and speaks to her as if to a toddler, slow and making sure that each word registers to her. "So, let me see if I understand you. You acknowledge and understand that this young woman is not an employee of this store, but a librarian. She is not liable to help you here, but you still want her to?" Absolutely seething, entitled woman hisses a breath out between her teeth.
Yes, and she represents civil servants, even outside of work. She works for the state. Since I am also a citizen of this state, she must help me when I need it.
Manager also has that same silent reaction I did at this woman's reasoning and insistence that I help her. Manager takes a deep breath. It's not her job to help you outside of her work, and especially in a place that is not even her field of work. I will personally help you myself today. Entitled woman makes a move to speak again, but manager whips her hand up to make her stop mid-breath and looks at me. Go ahead and continue shopping. I will let the cashiers know to give you 25% off your purchase for today. I only nod and smile before almost literally running away into the forest of clothes. My purchase was made, and I think it's the end of it. Nope. No, it's not. Fast forward to earlier yesterday, Monday, my first day back after the weekend. My supervisor calls me early this morning before my shift is even close to starting. Hello? Hi, OP. It's your supervisor from the library. I get worried since she sounds a little angry. I would like you to come in early today before your shift. We need you for a meeting with administration, please. Oh, okay. Of course, I will be there half an hour early. She hangs up, leaving me to sweat the morning out until I walk into work. I am told to go into library director's office and am now very worried that this is something about my job performance here. Hi, OP. Library director greets me pleasantly. Supervisor is sitting with her at a small conference table in the office. Please have a seat and join us. I close the door behind me and do as I am asked. I feel my body reacting to my nerves, hands starting to shake a little, feet getting wobbly, sweating a bit. Honestly, I think at this point that I'm getting written up, fired, or both. I even feel my eyes start to burn with unshed tears at the prospect. You can breathe, OP, supervisor says, sounding more kind than on the phone earlier. She's always been a stern woman, but I guess she realizes that I am scared. I do actually take a few breaths, realizing that I have been holding my breath. OP, we received an email to the administration account regarding you from Saturday. Library director starts off, still kind and calm. The schedule says you are on, and the time clock has you as clocked in and out. You were here, but the camera feed shows no confrontations, and the phone calls you answered were very short in length. What exactly happened? I am given the email to read regarding me. Right away, I can tell from the speech pattern that this is the woman from the store. The entire time I'm reading it, the mantra, It's that jerk from the store. It's that jerk from the store is on a loop in my head. This email rips me apart in my character in a professional and a public environment, and how I am supposed to cater to those who are in the school district. I can tell you exactly what happened in regards to this email, but it was while I was off the clock and no longer on library premises. I launch into the story. By the end, both supervisor and library director are giving me the same blank-faced blinking expression that both I and manager from the store had. We all laughed it off, and they told me to let them know if she comes into my area and gives me trouble if she sees me. So far, so good, but I wouldn't be surprised if she comes in sometime this week to see if her complaint bared fruit. I can't wait to see the look on her face when she finds out that it did not. Next we've got Entitled Dad Tries to Steal Kid's Bike. Hello, my kinship of fellow Redditors. This is a story that happened to my mom today, and since she doesn't have Reddit and honestly doesn't even care what the site is, I decided to post it for you. Here's the cast. We've got my mom. We've got Entitled Dad. We've got the kid and owner of the bike. We've got the kid's friend and the angry bystander. I'm telling you this as my mom told me, so it might not be 100% accurate to what happened, but oh well. Let's go. So my mom was just in town shopping when she heard some commotion. Turning to where it was coming from, she saw an adult man riding a bicycle way too small for him, with two 10 to 12-year-olds hanging onto the back of the bike and the man's clothes making it even more difficult. They were screaming at him to stop while the man was spitting insults at them and telling them to let go. Normally, my mom avoids confrontation she doesn't have anything to do with, but after years of raising me, she had learned to pick up on things and had developed a strong motherly instinct that ordered her to protect kids. With that, she ran a bit to catch up with them and grabbed the bar hands of the bike, making the man actually stop this time and almost fall over, glaring at her. My mom says, "What's going on here?"
None of your business, jerk.
He stole my bike.
Shut your mouth, Brett. This is my son's bike.
The kid's friend says,
No, he's not. He's lying.
I told you both to shut up. Now, all of you, go away already.
Entitled Dad tried to leave again, but my mom wasn't having it and refused to let go of the bike.
If it's your son's bike, why are you riding it?
Entitled Dad sputtered a bit as he turned red.
I just bought it for him. Move already, so I can bring it to him.
The poor kid was starting to cry when my mom noticed a chain lock wrapped in a bright yellow plastic.
Did you buy that extra chain lock right away too?
Yeah, I did.
Then can you show the key to it?
Why the heck would I?
Here it is.
The kid held up a small key, obvious a match.
Hey, that's just some random key. You don't...
The kid stuck the key into the lock and opened it. By then, more people had noticed what was going on and were gathering around. Many people were upset at what was obviously going on. Mom says,
I really think this is the boy's bike, sir. His bike, which you were attempting to steal, right under his nose. You should be ashamed.
Entitled Dad apparently didn't care anymore and threw the act to the wind.
Why the heck would I be ashamed? This stupid brat didn't lock it right. It was all up for grabs. How is that my fault?
Angry bystander.
Maybe you shouldn't steal at all, jerk.
As more and more people started yelling insults at him, the Entitled Dad tried to leave again, but a couple of guys roughly pulled him from the bike and threw him into the pavement. They kept him pinned till the police arrived, and the kids were picked up by one of their mothers. As this went on, Entitled Dad kept thrashing and screaming how his son deserved the bike more, as he wouldn't be stupid enough to leave it unlocked, and other insults being thrown at everyone around. Upon hearing how this all went down, I really wish I was there, but I did end up rewarding my mom to some of her favorite chocolate with caramel filling. Entitled Mom doesn't believe I'm related to my baby cousin, gets us all kicked out of Woolies. This happened a couple of years ago, but I just discovered this sub. On mobile, blah blah. This takes place in Australia. I think the cast is pretty straightforward. Quick note, I'm very white, like paper white, with blonde hair and blue eyes. My little cousins in this story are half South American and are a bit darker than me, with dark hair and dark eyes. We don't look very alike, so I could almost forgive this lady if she wasn't insane. Anyway, on to the story. So, one afternoon when I was about 18, I accompanied my aunt and her 3 kids. They were 3, 2, and 1 at the time, to help her do some food shopping. As we get to Woolworths, my little 2-year-old cousin starts getting really fussy. My aunt knows that bringing him in will likely end in a tantrum, and while it's good to teach him he can't always get his way, she has 3 kids who are under 4 and tries to avoid public meltdowns when possible, since they all like to copy each other. My aunt: "Oh, P, do you think you could take cousin over to that play area for a few minutes? I'll be really quick. Do you want anything?" "No worries. Get me a Mars bar, please." "Thank you." I took my cousin over to the tiny little closed-in playground in front of the Woolies. There were 2 older kids there, maybe 5, and a woman who was maybe in her mid-30s sitting on the seat. I stayed standing. After a couple of minutes, cousin smacks his head on a platform thing and, being already tired, goes into nuclear mode. "Aw, come here. It's okay. Let me see." Entitled Mom swoops in from her seat and tries to talk to a crying 2-year-old.
Excuse me, sweetheart. Do you know this lady?
Sorry? Entitled Mom gets closer to cousin.
Is she your mummy?
"Hey, I've got this. Thanks."
I don't think so.
Tries to pick up my cousin, who did not like that. "Stop! He's my cousin." At this point, I quickly pick up my little cousin, kiss his hand better, and walk into Woolies away from the weird Entitled Mom to look for my aunt. He stopped crying almost straight away, but was still sucking a little. I look down a few aisles, but can't see her, so I decide to let cousin walk and hold his hand while we look. Besides, he likes being a big boy, and this will cheer him up. After a minute or two, I look behind me and see Entitled Mom recording us on her phone in the aisle. "Can you stop that, please?" Entitled Mom still recording.
Whose baby is that? How old are you?
"Please, leave us alone. He is my little cousin."
You're lying.
Holds phone right in my face. Entitled Mom's kid.
Mom, I told the man at the counter like you asked.
Good girl. Go wait with your sister.
Look, I understand. We don't look much alike, but I've already explained and you're bothering us. Thanks for your concern, but please go away. Looking around desperately for my aunt.
Where did you steal him from? Does he speak English?
Lady, buzz off. Just then, 2 tall guys in Woolies uniforms walk up to us and ask what's going on.
This young girl is taking that baby. She's like 16 and claims he is her 2-year-old, and he's clearly Aboriginal or something.
He's my cousin for the 100th time, and my aunt is in here somewhere.
She's lying.
She's yelling now.
I saw her take that baby from the playground.
Manager 1.
All right, let's calm down here.
Give him to me until we find his real mother. I'm a mum. I can look after him. My girls would love him.
I'm getting actually scared now. Leave us alone. I'm calling my aunt right now. Manager says, and your aunt is the baby's mother?
No, it's probably part of her trick.
I called my aunt and told her where we were and to come ASAP. Turns out she was in the news agency next door looking for us after realizing we weren't at the play area. My aunt, what's going on? Cousin reaches for Mom and babbles about an angry lady.
Manager, ma'am, is this your son?
Yes?
Do you know this girl?
She's my niece. What's going on?
Oh, come on. That's clearly not the baby's real mother either. Look at the difference.
I'm sorry. What did you just say? Who the heck are you? I have 3 half Chilean kids. Are you trying to say none of them are mine? Entitled Mom doesn't even look at the other 2 kids who look very similar to my cousin.
Give him to me so I can find his real mother. Or I'll have you all arrested.
Get out of here. Manager, ma'am, I don't think that this is an issue. Can I please ask that you all leave the store?
I still say the police should be called.
Make my day. Manager,
Handle it outside, please. And you're not to come back today. Thank you.
Entitled Mom stops recording as she realizes she isn't the next viral internet hero.
Whatever. You're all dodgy.
Next we've got My Entitled Mom. Long-time lurker, first-time poster, since I finally have enough karma to post. Yeehaw. Too long didn't read at the bottom. Sorry for any misspelling, incorrect words and spelling, wrong punctuation. Correct me if I'm wrong and I'll fix them. English is my first language. For context, my mom is your classic entitled Karen that my dad married for reasons that I won't disclose. Backstory. As a child growing up, I thought yelling and fighting and berating from a mother was normal. I thought that what my mom would yell and scream at me was normal, and that every kid had that happen to them. My mom would often pull the
It's your fault I'm acting this way
card on everyone in the family and would act as if she was truly innocent. It's so bad that she still does it now, except now she's got a terrible relationship with me, and I'm now aware that it's called mental and emotional abuse. You see, as I was growing up, my dad tried to tell her multiple times that if she continued treating me the way she did, she wouldn't have a relationship with me, her oldest daughter, at all. She dismissed this claim with the classic,
I'm her mother. Of course she'll want me in her life and have a close relationship with me.
Newsflash, I don't have a relationship with her, and as each day passes, I know I'm going to keep her at a distance in my life. Turns out, she doesn't blame herself for our failed mother-daughter relationship. She blames my dad. The line she pulls on this is,
You didn't warn me enough about this.
or,
You didn't teach OP to respect me.
yes, my dad did teach me respect. He taught me that respect is earned and mutual. What's funny enough is she's now trying her hardest to purchase me, as in buying me whatever I want, in hopes that will restore our failed mother-daughter relationship, while still hiding the fact that she is mentally and emotionally abusive towards everyone else that lives in our household. Anyway, enough of my rambling. I'm here to tell y'all some quick entitled mom stories, because why not? This happened last Friday, and it happened to my dad. My mom was going through his side of his dresser while he was asleep. She caused so much ruckus that she managed to wake my dad up. My dad groggily asks what she's doing, and her response is,
Well, I know you keep cash in your drawer, and I'm looking for it because I'm going to use it.
My dad shook his head and went back to sleep. I'm unsure if he told her no. I think he didn't want to start a fight. This next one happened on Father's Day, and I witnessed it. For Father's Day, I got my dad a jumbo-sized card that Walmart sells for $5. I gave it to him in front of my mom. This is important to the story. And she was trying to be calm about it, but I could tell it bothered her that I'd gotten him a card, but not her for Mother's Day. Later that night, I was in the kitchen getting some good old H2O when my sister came into the kitchen to talk to my mom. This was the following conversation. We've got entitled mom, we've got sister, and we've got me. My sister: can we still go to the grocery store?
What? No. Why?
To get Dad a card and balloon. It's Father's Day.
Absolutely not. OP already got him a card. He doesn't need two. When it was Mother's Day, I only got one card.
My sister: yeah, but that's from OP, not from the whole family. It's not fair that Dad gets one from OP, but not from the whole family.
Doesn't matter. The answer is no.
Yeah, no one got my dad anything for Father's Day but me. The last story here is one that happened yesterday, and I am livid that this happened. Now, I work at a grocery store, one that my mom tends to frequently shop at, and she had dragged my younger sister from the previous second story with her. Apparently, my sister wasn't smiling and asking my mom about her work life, so my mom got mad and started throwing groceries into the cart, telling my sister that she's ungrateful and should be trying to talk to her instead of
zoning out in your own little world.
My sister, who's a pushover, sadly tried to apologize, and when that didn't satiate my entitled mom, she had a panic attack and ran to the bathrooms. Keep in mind, they were at Costco before they came to the grocery store. Entitled mom followed my sister into the bathrooms to keep on berating her, telling her,
"You have no right to be unhappy. You're selfish,"
and whatnot. Not entirely sure what entitled mom said since I wasn't there. When they came to the grocery store, I was clocked in at work, but on a 15-minute break, so my sister came to get some Advil to take away some pain in her arm she had, because she had ended up unintentionally scratching herself due to my mom berating her. She ended up hugging me and crying when I offered her a hug, so I knew something was wrong, and she told me what happened. Yeah, that's 3 short stories. I'll keep posting more about my entitled mom if y'all like them and want them coming. To be honest, I have a lot of them. Edit. I'd like to point out that after the last story, entitled mom apologized to my sister, but again pulled the
"I'm innocent"
card by saying,
"I'm stressed at work. It's not my fault I reacted that way."
and
"I'm your mother. You have to forgive me."
cards on her, which tends to show how entitled she believes she is to forgiveness and second chances because,
"You need to treat me as Jesus would."
lady, pick up the Bible and read it if you're going to use that line for your own entitled BS. Next we've got entitled parent comes into the dentist because her little angel's leg is broken. Hello. So this just happened like a day ago, and I think you all know what entitled mom and entitled kid means. So let's get on with the story. So I was with my dad and doing a checkup with my teeth because I had a toothache. So I was sitting there waiting when all of a sudden, time stops for a split second. Then Karen with her mask and her partner in crime, the entitled kid. I was unsure because she had the Karen stereotype, and I watched enough entitled parents videos to know what was going on. Her and her kids said, front desk lady asks, "Hey, what brings you in here?" Entitled Mom in an actually pretty rude tone.
My baby has a broken leg. Fix it now.
I swear I heard glass shatter. Front desk lady. Ma'am, we are the dentist. We do not deal with broken legs.
Just do it for my baby. He is in so much pain.
And her baby actually looked fine. Crisscross applesauce iPad in hand. He looked fine. Entitled kid says,
Yeah, help me.
fake cry ensues. It went on for 5 minutes, I assume, until
Where is your manager? I want him now.
front desk lady is just done at this point.
I will call the police if you keep this rude attitude up.
You are so rude. We are a poor, starving family, and you treat us this way?
Remember when I said the kid had an iPad? Yeah, so much for poor and starving family. Front desk lady calls the police on her phone. Fast forward until they get there. The police ask,
Hey, what's.
She assaulted me and did not treat my baby. He has a broken leg.
police ask the front desk lady.
Is this true?
No, she was disturbing the peace.
You guys got footage?
Yeah, I'll show you.
And then Karen got charged with basically being a not very nice person, and then everything went back to normal. Next we've got Karen demands we follow policy when we just did. Hi, Mr. Reddit. Hope you're doing well. The following story could also apply to r/Tales from Retail, but this works too. I'm on PC, and English is my first language, but I type fast, so don't be surprised about any grammar/spelling errors. We've got me, we've got Karen, we've got manager, and we've got the coworker. It all started during the lunch rush at my zoo's food court. I use quotes because it was forecasted to rain, and as such, it was really slow. I don't know why, but apparently 2 flash flood warnings in the past 2 days discourages people from going outdoors. Cowards. Anyways, there's no one in line, and I'm still attentive and on guard in case a customer, or, slightly more importantly, a manager shows up. Out of the corner of my eye, I see a middle-aged woman, if I had to guess, early to mid-40s, walking towards my stand. Sorry, not walking, power walking. This immediately shot up so many red flags. She gets to the front and she looks mad. The following is a paraphrased dialogue. Me, sweetly, because I don't want to upset her. Hello, how may I help you?
I cannot believe you people.
Internally, oh Lord. Externally and confused. I'm sorry, what?
You had me go all the way down to guest services so I can redeem this.
Shoves a gift certificate in my face.
Just for these stupid zoo bucks. When you know it's not policy to do so. How dare you?
For context, zoo bucks are basically the zoo's equivalent to in-store credit. You can use them for food stands, the gift shop, whatever you want. However, the gift certificate has to be redeemed at guest services, and that's how it has always been for the 1 year and change I've worked there. We even had a sign for it in the break room, along with other signs and other instructions on them.
I have children, you know. How am I supposed to service them while I have to walk up and down the zoo just to buy food?
Manager hears the problem and gets on the phone with guest services. I'm sorry to hear that, ma'am. While we figure this out, can I ring up any food for you?
No, I'm getting a salad over there.
She points to another stand. I'm muttering quietly. And you couldn't take this up with them?
Excuse me? What did you say?
Now, manager was maybe 9 feet away from me, so I had to say it was nothing. I walk off, and coworker, someone far calmer than me, takes over trying to calm her down. Now I am mad because this woman has the audacity to yell at me for doing my job with the excuse that she has children here. Just leads me to ask how they'll turn out if this is their primary influence. I shudder at the thought of it. I then get an idea. I go to the break room that has aforementioned signs with protocols on them and take the hot pink sign with the specific protocol on it. I show it to Karen. Ma'am, I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but right here is a sign that has the protocol for gift certificates on them. As you can see, we're supposed to send you to guest services.
No, you're not. Stop being lazy and own your mistake.
Manager.
Actually,
Me internally. Oh yes.
he is supposed to send you there. The folks at guest services made a mistake. We're sorry.
Whatever.
Karen then storms off, and I don't see her for the rest of the day. I then went to use the restroom. I hid there to calm down because it's a really good coping mechanism. And when I get out, me, manager, and coworker share a laugh about it. Moral of the story: just because you have personal stuff going on doesn't give you the right to be rude. Also, know your facts before you come at someone. And shoutouts to our Read Generals of the day: Lulu Plays, Ridaclin, Jelly the Kitty, Sheena, and Olivia. Become tomorrow's Read Generals by leaving as many reads as you can in the comments below. And watch this video next. You will love it.